Hi there and welcome to this screencast, Preparing to Code by MobileCaddy. I'm Todd Halfpenny, Mobile Technical Architect here at MobileCaddy, and today we're going to talk about getting your development environment up and running and ready to code. This will take the form of installing one of our demo applications, the MobileCaddy Time and Expenses Shell app, and the tools that you get with it. We'll also talk about getting the app up and running, talking to the Salesforce platform, and we'll have a look under the hood as well. There are some dependencies that we need to cover here. I'll assume that these have already been installed. If they're not, then you can check the notes at the end of this screencast for details and instructions. These dependencies are Ruby, NPM and Git. We'll also be using Grunt CLI, Bower and SAS. And as I said, there'll be notes at the end to see where you can get them and how to install them. Right, let's get started. First of all, we're going to clone the public shell application. This is on our GitHub repo into, I've got a temp projects directory up here, just for now. Here we go, just bringing that down nice and quick. Let's have a look to see what this has given us. So let's cd into there, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? Here we've got a bower.json file. Bower is a dependency manager. This will install and manage things like jQuery, Ionic, Angular and MobileCaddy libraries. It also has a grunt file. This is our task manager and it gives us a support for our workflow, sassification, JS minification, JS hinting, package building, static resource zipping, etc. We have our SCSS directory. This is where our SAS files will go. We've got a test directory. This contains some .json files that's used if we're going to mock the platform, mock platform data. This is useful if we're going to be testing failure scenarios or specific return values from the platform. We also have our www. This is where our core application goes, our JavaScript, any libraries, other assets, etc. What we need to do is then install our tools. This is done with an npm install. On my Linux I need to do sudo for this. Let's just go ahead and start doing that. Obviously need my password. This shouldn't take too long. What this is doing is installing packages that we're going to be using during our build time. So if I have a look in our node modules directory that was created, we can see that it's installed Bower for us, Grunt, and then a few Grunt plugins that we'll be using. Now we'll go ahead and use the Bower that's just been installed to install our dependencies. This is libraries that will go into our end application, so things like Angular, Ionic, etc. Let's have a look and see what's in Bower components directory that was created. There we are, there's Angular. We've got a promises polyfill, Force.js. We're using the Salesforce REST services for communication. That's a library written by Christoph Komaratz that helps with that. Ionic, jQuery, and here's our MobileCaddy developer utils assets. This contains the API that we will be using to talk to the platform, handles all the funky offline control, etc. Right. What we have then as one of our workflow tools is Grunt, and there's a Grunt command called task called dev setup, and what this is doing is copying the relevant files from our dependencies into our app's www directory. I'll quickly show you that now. So this is our www directory. We've got our sassifications taking place. We've got our app.css. This will be run ongoing as we make changes to our Sass files. We've got a fonts directory containing, I think there's icon fonts from Ionic. We have our JS directory. This is where our application is, and this is where we will be doing our coding. We then have a lib directory which contains our dependency libraries, and in that JS directory, and then we have a templates directory here which contains all of our Angular templates. If I have a look inside the lib.js, here we've got our force TK library, we've got our Ionic Angular, jQuery. We then have a few other libraries here. These are used for simulating the application startup within our local development environment on our desktop. We've got a mock library. In fact, we have two mock libraries for Cordova. This basically simulates the smart store, which is the encrypted soups that you'll have on your terminals. One uses local storage and one uses session storage on the desktop, and we can switch between those depending on our use case. The local storage is the default option. Before we start using our application, we also need to install a local cause proxy. This is because our JavaScript service is calling services on the Salesforce platform, and because our JavaScript is running locally, we need Salesforce platform to support cause. It doesn't, and therefore we need to install that. There's a handy cause proxy written by Christoph again, located at this Git repo, and it's very quick to download and install. And our app will be using this. I should see it into there. That's a bit better, isn't it? And then we can start our server just like that. We now have a node server running on localhost 3000. If we have a look at this, and there's an error we're getting back from his cause proxy because we don't have anything else running on there. What we can now do is start a grunt server inside our application. This is starting up on localhost 3030. So if we browse to that, we can see that our app is there. What will happen is first time we connect, we'll simulate the MobileCaddy app running up as a fresh install on a phone or tablet. It's not 100% like for like, but it gives us a very close output and behaviour, similar to what we'll see issued authorizers against Salesforce. It'll check what versions with our functionality and logic we're using on the platform and client side, and then we'll build the application data structure locally. So this will be pulling configuration down from Salesforce, building the tables we need, and with the structure that we need. After that, the MobileCaddy libraries will call our application code, so the client application code, and say, right, you can kick off. Our app will then go down and pull a couple of mobilized Salesforce tables, populate them, and then hopefully we'll be off and running. What we can do is look in the the resource tab of the developer Chrome tools, or the Chrome developer tools, and we should see in here in our local storage section the soups beginning to be populated. Right, let's kick that off and see what happens. So I have an authorization window popping up from Salesforce. It's asking me to log in and authorize the application. On the handset, you'd have to do something very similar on first install. Now we can see that our tables are beginning to be built, our soups are beginning to be pulled down from the Salesforce platform. Here we are now. In fact, our application is now kicking in. We've been handed back control from the MobileCaddy libraries, and you can see that we have a whole set of soups on mobile tables, and our application is up here. There we go. We've got a list of projects pulled down. This is a time and expenses application, so we have a list of projects using Ionic and Angular. We can do inline searching. So if I search for the word collect, you can see here that one project comes up with the title, search for collect, and a second one with the description being highlighted. It gives a huge amount of control here. What we can do is dive into a particular project, and you can see here that we have a location attribute. This is actually being pulled from a second mobilized table and being managed by our JavaScript. We can also view the timesheets relating to this particular project, and we've got a couple in there. That's all very cool and groovy. Our demo shell applications and our seed applications all come with a framework specific settings section pre-written that you can just reuse in your code. If we jump into here, this will give some general information about the application's versioning, and also the ability for a user to log out, which will clear all the local data. We then have an administration functions, which is password protected. Let's jump into there, and we can see that there's a mobile table inspector. This will allow us to view the soups that are installed locally on the handset, in this case in the development environment. And so if we go into our projects table, you can see that we've in total we've got 23 project records down here. So this is looking at the kind of the more or less the raw soup data. Again, you can filter here. So we've got collect again. Here's our collect coach wash and dry in the name, and then the second record we have is collect being highlighted from the description. This is extremely useful. You can also search by IDs, and they will show up as and when they're needed. We've had our demo time and expenses application installed and running. What else have we done? We've used a couple of grunt tasks to aid us in getting this far, and that'll do us for today. In the next screencast, we're going to cover making some changes to the application and see how our workflow is optimized to make this as time efficient as possible. We're also going to see how changes on the platform can be made and observed within the development environment, and how we can modify our application to make use of these changes. Right, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.